On September 3rd, 1939, France declared war on Germany in response to the German invasion of Poland. In early September 1939, France initiated the limited Saar offensive, but by mid-October they had retreated to original positions. On the 10th of May 1940, German forces launched invasions into Belgium, Luxembourg, the Netherlands, and France. To put a long story short, German forces swiftly overcame the French army. Following the flight of the French government and the collapse of the French army, German commanders engaged in negotiations with French officials on June 18th to end hostilities. On the 22nd of June 1940, the second armistice at Compiègne was signed by France and Germany. In the aftermath, the Vichy government, headed by Marshal Philippe Pétain, replaced the Third Republic, and German military forces assumed control over the French regions bordering the North Sea and the Atlantic, as well as their surrounding territories. Out of this somber event emerged one of the most iconic images featuring Adolf Hitler, the photograph of him standing before the Eiffel Tower, a symbol of global cultural significance for France and one of the world's most instantly recognisable human-made structures. The photo in question was taken on Sunday the 23rd of June 1940, the day after the second armistice at Compiègne. The photo depicts Adolf Hitler on the terrace of the Palais de Chaleur, across the River Seine from the Eiffel Tower and flanked by two men on either side. But this begs a simple question. In such a monumental moment for Adolf Hitler, who are the people with Hitler in front of the Eiffel Tower? To begin with, the individual to his left is the sculptor Arno Breker. Breker, born in Elberfeld in western Germany, embarked on his artistic journey at the age of 20 when he enrolled at the Dusseldorf Academy of Arts. There, his focus was primarily on sculpture, and he received instruction from the esteemed German sculptor Hubert Netzer and renowned German architect Wilhelm Kreis. In 1924, just before completing his studies in Germany, Breker made his first and one of many visits to Paris, where he encountered numerous artists, including notable figures like Jean Renoir and Pablo Picasso. In 1927, Breker moved to Paris, but in 1934, listening to the advice of German painter Max Liebermann, he returned to his homeland of Germany. During this period, Alfred Rosenberg, the editor of the Nazi newspaper
Völkischer,
criticized some of Breker's work as degenerate art. Ironically, Breker garnered support from several Nazi leaders, most notably the head honcho Adolf Hitler, and accepted commissions from the Nazis between 1933 and 1942. In 1936, he secured the commission for crafting two sculptures symbolizing athletic excellence. These sculptures were intended for submission in the 1936 Olympic Games arts competition held in Berlin. One of them portrayed a decathlete and the other depicted the victress. The following year, in 1937, Breker became a member of the Nazi Party and received the designation of official state sculptor from Hitler. He was granted a spacious estate and provided with a studio staffed by 43 assistants. As the war drew to a close, approximately 90% of Breker's public artworks were destroyed in the bombings that ravaged Germany. In 1946, Breker was offered a commission by Soviet leader Joseph Stalin, but he refused, saying, quote, "One dictatorship is sufficient for me." After the war, Breker returned to Dusseldorf, located in the newly established West Germany, and made it his home base, although he also spent periods residing in Paris. He maintained a steady stream of commissions for sculptures, producing numerous pieces in his signature classical style. In 1970, Breker received a commission from the King of Morocco to create artwork for the United Nations building in Casablanca, although the work was soon met with destruction. This was followed by a series of other projects, including sculptures for Dusseldorf City Hall and portraits of Egyptian leader Anwar Sadat.
Amicus turbago quando mishi bagu Zatraka ash Zatraka grishu Snakura Utmu nakash Tolo shabala
German statesman Konrad Adenauer. Breker's recognition continued to grow, reaching its pinnacle with the establishment of the Arno Breker Museum, which was officially inaugurated in 1985. Arno Breker was married twice and passed away on February 13th, 1991. As for the person on the right, this is the architect Albert Speer. Speer, born in Mannheim, pursued a family tradition by studying architecture. His architectural journey commenced at the University of Karlsruhe, and he joined the Nazi Party in 1931. His architectural talents quickly propelled him to prominence within the party, eventually earning him a place in Hitler's inner circle. Hitler entrusted him with the design and construction of significant structures, including the Reich Chancellery and the Nazi Party rally grounds in Nuremberg. In 1937, Hitler designated Speer as the General Building Inspector for Berlin. In this role, he oversaw the Central Department for Resettlement, which orchestrated the removal of Jewish residents from their homes in Berlin. In February 1942, Speer assumed the position of Reich Minister of Armaments and War Production. Under his leadership, he claimed and promoted the deceptive idea of an armaments miracle, a claim widely recognised for sustaining Germany's war effort. By 1944, Speer had established a task force aimed at boosting fighter aircraft production, and played a pivotal role in harnessing slave labour to bolster the German war machine. Following the war, Albert Speer was among the 24 quote, major war criminals indicted for the crimes of the Nazi regime by the International Military Tribunal. He was ultimately found guilty of war crimes and crimes against humanity, primarily due to his utilisation of slave labour, but he narrowly escaped a death sentence. On October 1st, 1946, he received a 20-year prison sentence, and on July 18th, 1947, Speer was relocated to Spandau prison in Berlin to serve his term. After serving his full sentence, Speer regained his freedom in 1966. Speer would go on to release 2 books, titled Inside the Third Reich and Spandau: The Secret Diaries. On September 1st, 1981, Speer passed away from a stroke, leaving behind little of his architectural work. Through his books and interviews, Speer meticulously crafted a persona of profound remorse for his failure to uncover the heinous crimes of the Third Reich. Speer consistently disavowed any explicit knowledge of or accountability for the Holocaust. This carefully cultivated image remained the dominant narrative in his accounts of history in the years following the war, resulting in the creation of the so-called Speer myth. This myth portrayed him as an apolitical technocrat credited with revolutionizing the German war machine. However, in the 1980s, this myth began to crumble as the so-called armaments miracle was revealed to be a product of Nazi propaganda, and mounting evidence suggested Speer's intimate involvement in the final solution. I would end the video here, but throughout researching this video, I found some interesting tidbits that I couldn't fit in the video, but couldn't leave out. Here's a photo of Breker working on a sculpture of Speer. Hitler had a strong desire to go to the top of the Eiffel Tower, but his wish remained unfulfilled. As it turns out, upon their arrival in Paris, the French had severed the Eiffel Tower's lift cables. Throughout the wartime years, the site remained off limits to the public, with elevator repairs only being undertaken in 1946. Thus, in 1940, German soldiers had to climb the tower in order to raise the swastika flag. Funnily enough, the large flag was blown away within a couple of hours, necessitating replacement with a smaller, less grand flag. The French tricolour flag remained lowered until June 25, 1944, marking the liberation of the city from German occupation. Nonetheless, Hitler claimed that he preferred to remain on the ground, possibly due to his fear of heights, though he kept this fear concealed from those around him. An example of his fear of heights can be seen in his rare visits to the Kelstein House, also known as the Eagle's Nest, which sat at an elevation of 1,834 metres, considerably higher than the Eiffel Tower's 330 metres, which Martin Bormann, Hitler's private secretary, had built as a 50th birthday gift. This has been me, Jack, and if you're in Paris right now, leave a comment down below.